Oregon State stud quarterback Aidan Chiles, he is in the transfer portal. What would that mean for our Michigan State Spartans if he follows Jonathan Smith? Also, another name for defensive coordinator to just consider for a little bit. We get into recruiting news, and then, oh my goodness, for seemingly the first time in 6 weeks, the basketball team plays again. They take on Wisconsin. We preview that game. Let's go.
You are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode of Locked On Spartans is brought to you by the Game Time app. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege. That's all one word, Locked On College, for $20 off of your first purchase. Spartan friends, Spartan family, Locked On Spartans listeners, look at us. We're smiling today because this is going to be a fun episode because we got big news in the transfer portal front. But before we get into any of that, hey, please rate, review, subscribe, smash that 5-star button if you're listening on the podcast. If you ever want to reach out, LockedOnSpartans@gmail.com is the place to find us, or hit us up on Twitter at Sheehan_sports. All right, enough about that. Enough about the housekeeping. Let's get into the mix here because Monday morning, there was some news that us State fans were all expecting and or hoping for, and it was that, that young gunslinger that threw by way of California after a year in Oregon State is entering the transfer portal. Of course, you guys know who I'm talking about. It is Aidan Chiles. Aidan Chiles, he is the 6'3", 200-pound quarterback who had some nice moments for Oregon State this year. We all know that, hey, DJ Uiagalelei, he was the starting quarterback there. He got the bulk of the reps. But just like we talked about last week with Max Brown, talked a little bit about Aidan Chiles with him, is that regardless of the game, he always got the third series on offense, no matter how high the stakes were. And, of course, Oregon State had some beatdowns earlier this year, like against San Jose State, and then UC Davis, where he got extended run as well. Looked pretty good there. And, hey, this isn't just me, a slappy, talking about, hey, why Aidan Chiles is going to be great at Michigan State, and I'm just trying to build him up to be something that he's not. No. Well, both those are true, that yes, I am a Michigan State slappy, and that yes, Aidan Chiles can very well grow to be something that is a spectacle in college football. It's more than just me saying it, guys. It is 24/7 as well, 24/7 Sports. They do the recruiting rankings, the transfer portal rankings, and sit down, get a load of this, because right now he is the number one quarterback in the transfer portal, according to 24/7 Sports. The number 2 overall transfer prospect in the country, regardless of position, only behind defensive lineman Walter Nolan of Texas A&M. Start fanning myself off there for a second because, man, it's about time that we potentially have some good news here in East Lansing. And why am I talking like this is a sure thing? You know, why am I talking like, oh, it's a guarantee that he's going to be following Jonathan Smith, the coach that was just, of course, at Oregon State, over to East Lansing? Well, I mean, look, it's not just me who has heard some good news in the background here about the possibility of this happening, but it was kind of funny that Monday morning when the news breaks of his transfer on Twitter, all the national recruiting people, all the national college football people that chimed in on this didn't even offer up could he follow Jonathan Smith over to East Lansing? Look out for Jonathan Smith in East Lansing. He could get Chiles as a landing spot over there. Like, no. Every single person was talking as if that he was already named the starting quarterback for week 1 against Florida Atlantic next year. Like, this is a pretty open secret that things might be going pretty well here, and it's no mystery as to why. Jonathan Smith is the coach that he committed to. Brian Lindgren, the offensive coordinator, is also the guy he committed to. Kind of just makes sense to follow him over to East Lansing. But, guys, it's not just the rankings either. This is from a Pac-12 recruiting coordinator. This is from The Athletic. They did a piece on all the top transfers. Again, this is from an anonymous Pac-12 recruiting coordinator saying, quote, he's very talented, got good size, and can really spin it. The ball jumps out of his hand, and he runs very well. He was really raw coming out of high school, but I think a year under Smith has probably really helped him. And as a high school prospect, he was top 60 per 24/7 Sports. Rivals had him rated as the number 3 dual threat quarterback in the nation. And here's something that's interesting too. is that he's still just 18 years old. So he has so much upside in front of him. And that's probably why he gets that ranking of the #1 quarterback, even ahead of guys like Dante Moore, even ahead of guys that are experienced like DJ Uyunglele. It's that ceiling, but also in his time at Oregon State, did really well. I mean, just put up nice stats, never threw an interception. You saw the activity with his legs as well. Dual threat in every sense of the word. I was watching a 11-minute highlight tape put together by Sparty World, actually. So go ahead and check them out, Sparty World on Twitter. But there's a throw in there where he's at 1 20-yard line and the ball lands at the other 20-yard line. Like he has a cannon for an arm. It's not just, the Pac-12 recruiting director saying that, but also just watch your eyes. Watch what you're seeing. This guy can absolutely positively sling the rock. So again, let's check ourselves here. Nothing is certain in life, especially in college football. Good heavens, we just learned that over the weekend. You could go 13-0 as a Power 5 team and not make the college football playoff. And also, recruiting in the transfer portal is as wacky as it possibly gets. So no, well, it's not 100%. Things are looking pretty good. And look at us, Michigan State fans, smiling away. So look at that. Hey, I've got a question here. This is from Twitter. Spartan Evan writes in, question for the pod. Landing Chiles in East Lansing means what for Jonathan Smith's expectations in year 1? Fantastic question. So here is where I see things right now. Before Chiles comes over here, potentially, let's just act like that's not a sure thing, just for sake of conversations. Right now in the 12 games, I have it in 4 categories: heavy lean win, 50-50, and then Sharpie loss. Okay. There wasn't even a lean loss in this category. Heavy lean win, Florida Atlantic, and then Louisiana. Okay. I feel pretty confident about those games. Lean win at Boston College, Indiana, and Purdue. And then 50-50 games, I have Iowa, at Illinois, Rutgers at home, and then at Maryland. And then Sharpie up the loss. Just don't even chalk it up. Just chisel that in stone. I'm sorry to say this. It's not going to make anyone happy here. But Ohio State, got a really hard time believing we right the ship that quickly under Jonathan Smith. At Oregon is going to be a toughie. And then, I know Michigan can lose all 29 of their NFL players, but that's going to be a really, really tough game as well. So you take the 2 heavy lean wins, 2 out of the 3 that I'm leaning wins, and you just take half of those 50-50 games. That puts you at 6-6 on the year. I think this is a very favorable schedule, especially with how the season ends and starts for Michigan State. The hard games are really in the middle. So, hey, by injury luck at the end of the season, if other teams are banged up, not only are they beatable, but just like Michigan State was for the last 4 years, maybe they're at 28 scholarship players by the time you play them anyway. A guy like Chiles, I think, though, should be able to move Michigan State up to 7-5, let's call it. Maybe even 8-4. Again, these can be very gettable games. However, I don't want to get too ahead of my skis. We do need an offensive line first. That cannot be stated heavily enough, that this team needs an offensive line. We just talked on yesterday's show that one of my concerns is that it's just Dallas Fincher really is the only returning offensive lineman that had serious experience last year. Michigan State has to replace 7 offensive linemen, whether it's the 2 guys that graduated, J.D. Duplain and Nick Samak, or the 5 that have entered the portal. What we don't want here for Aidan Chiles, for this offense, for us Michigan State fans, let's think about us for a little bit, is having a situation like we just saw in Boulder, Colorado. And offensive line wasn't the only issue over there, but you had a guy, Shedeur Sanders, and say what you will about him, his arrogance, his brashness, but that guy can spin the rock. He could throw it. He could play really well. Doesn't really mean anything, though, if you are getting mauled by the defensive line 80% of your dropbacks. MSU needs to pick up some offensive linemen here, which brings us into our next topic of conversation, actually, is just what are some other guys that we can watch during the transfer portal cycle here? I'm not going to give you every single name or give you my full wish list, but here are 4 names that, hey, if this is your cup of tea, if you really like the transfer portal, just watch these guys. Luke Newman is the first one I'm going to point out. He's an All-American FCS offensive tackle from Holy Cross. Now, why do I bring him up just all randomly? No, it's not just because he's an offensive tackle, and my goodness gracious, we need 1 or 2 or about 7 of those, but he went to Brother Rice. This is, so to speak, a local kid. And also, I've heard that they have some Michigan State ties in that family as well. So Luke Newman is batting first for guys to keep an eye on. Jamori Macklin, he's a receiver from North Texas. He was originally at Mizzou, had some injuries, went to North Texas, has balled out this year. And if the last name Macklin sounds familiar, he's cousins with Jeremy Macklin. Cameron Martinez, he's from Muskegon as well. He won Michigan Mr. Football back in the day, played at Ohio State as a safety, but really this guy is just an athlete. You can put him all over the field. He is in the transfer portal as well, so maybe keep an eye on Cameron Martinez. And then one other Buckeye is Reed Carrico. All right, he is from Ironton, Ohio, and if you are a diehard Michigan State fan and the words Ironton, Ohio stick out to you because you know that Trevin Pendleton is from there and now coaches there could be a connection there of Pendleton matching him up with the staff here at Michigan State. He's a former top 60 recruit. He's a linebacker, only recorded one tackle for Ohio State last year. So, look, I don't want to paint it as if like we would be getting the second coming of, just name any great linebacker. Ray Lewis, let's call it. But still, this is the time to stockpile some talent here in year one for Jonathan Smith, any way you can get it, quite frankly. All right, we're going to be back here. We're going to be talking about defensive coordinator, some recruiting news, and other Michigan State transfer portal odds and ends. But first, need to talk your ear off about Game Time. Folks, this is the greatest ticketing app in the world. And let's say that, hey, December 16th in Detroit, MSU versus Baylor. You want some tickets? Get them as you are walking into the stadium. This is one of my favorite parts about Game Time is that the last minute flash deals are some of the best ticket deals that you can get out there. And if you don't believe me, just try for yourself. But before you try for yourself, use promo code LOCKEDONCollege. That's all one word, LOCKEDONCollege, for $20 off of your order. When you get the tickets, they are sent straight to your phone. They are not just sent to your email, and then there you are outside of the venue, rummaging through your email with no service, and you're panicking like, oh God, I'm not going to get my tickets. Like, no. Game Time makes it so easy that you won't believe it, whether it's saving money, whether it's looking at the actual seats, the picture of the actual seats while you buy the tickets, or just getting them to your phone. It is so easy. And again, gang, it is easy with code LOCKEDONCollege at the Game Time app for $20 off. Also, if you want to look the best or you want the Spartans in your life to look the best this holiday season, homefieldapparel.com is the place to be. Of course, I'm rocking Home Field Apparel right now. And why? Why am I doing that? Is it because they're a partner of this show? That's only the small part of it. The big reason, these are the most comfortable articles of clothing I have in my closet, whether it's the t-shirts, the long sleeve t-shirts, the hoodies, the crew neck sweatshirts. These things feel like a cloud is surrounding your body. It does not get better than Home Field Apparel, gang. And let's say for some reason the person that you're holiday shopping for is not a State fan. Like, what's that all about? Well, they have hundreds of colleges to choose from with great vintage logos. So do not miss out. Go to homefieldapparel.com, smash in promo code LOS23 for 15% off of your first order. Again, that is LOS23 for 15% off your first order at homefieldapparel.com. All right, let's go back into defensive coordinator talk because we tried this yesterday. All right, the Locked On Spartans jinx strikes again. We talked about, hey, yes, of course, Phil Parker over at Iowa, that'd be a nice name. But also, imagine Jeff Choate, the co-defensive coordinator at Texas. You know, we talked about his resume. Well, less than an hour after recording, he emerged as the top candidate for the Nevada head coaching job. So, all right, Jeff, we talked very highly about you on this show. Now, good luck over there with that Wolfpack. Let's try this again. Let's try another name here. Another name that we have not talked about on this show, but a man by the name of Jimmy Lake. Yes, another West Coast guy. I know you're probably sick of West Coast people, and I shared my concern with some West Coast coaches here and how many are on this staff, and hey, are we ever going to get people with Midwest ties on this staff? But hey, Jimmy Lake, he's got the resume that I don't care if he was coaching in Shanghai. This man can orchestrate a defense right now. He is currently with the Los Angeles Rams. He is assistant head coach over there in L.A., but man, oh man, in 2019, when he was defensive coordinator of the Washington Huskies, he took over a unit that they had all but 2 starters. They had to replace 9 starters from the season before. They played 3 true freshmen throughout the season, still held teams under 20 points. The season before that, 15.1 points per game and 301 yards of offense for their opponents. Both were by far number 1 in the Pac-12. And also, during recruiting as well. In his time at Washington, 13 4-stars he was responsible for. So it's a perfect blend of results on the field, recruiting as well, and just knowledge of the game through all levels from NFL to college. And I do understand that, hey, wait, Jimmy Lake, hold on. Wasn't that the guy that was the head coach of Washington for about 6 minutes? Yes, he was. And it went horrible. It did not go well whatsoever. That's why it lasted so short. But how many times have we seen guys that are really good coordinators, just fantastic coordinators, but not quite stick as head coaches? You don't even have to look too far from Michigan State to find one of those. How about Manny Diaz over at Penn State? Lights out defensive coordinator. Always has been. And thanks to Mel Tucker and a few other teams that season in 2021, Manny Diaz did not make it out alive as a head coach, but man, can still coordinate a defense. So yeah, Jimmy Lake, look, we're just going to throw that out there. We're recording at 7:44 p.m. I'm sure by 8:03 p.m., he'll be rumored to get some head coaching jobs somewhere. But yeah, for now, Jimmy Lake is just another name I want to introduce as Defensive Coordinator Watch 2023 rolls on, and kind of hope they shore that up soon, especially before official visits this incoming weekend. You're going to want your defensive coordinator there just so he could hang out with the defensive recruits. And actually, on that note, let's talk about recruiting as well right now, and let's stick with the defensive side of the ball. Brady Pretzlaff is going to visit this weekend. He is a linebacker, 6'3", 230 pounds. He's a 3-star from Gaylord, Michigan, committed to Minnesota right now. But yes, it was made official today that, hey, Mr. Pretzlaff will be visiting East Lansing this weekend. Nick Marsh will also be visiting. We'll get a full list of visitors as it becomes official and more robust later this week. But right now, add Brady's name to that list. And like I said, already committed to Minnesota. He already has an offer from Stanford as well. Some group of 5 schools in the mix too. But man, oh man, could Michigan State just use a linebacker commit in the worst way? And that is going on like a few years. Like, yes, Jordan Hall, just a dynamite pickup. But man, by and large, the linebacker recruiting under Mel Tucker. And look, I'm not going to rip Mel Tucker this segment. Like, he did good things in recruiting, just not at the linebacker position. I mean, guys like Kamar Masudi, Dylan Williams. Oh God, the guy that committed to Michigan that I can't think of right now, out of Belleville. That's a good look. I forgot the kid's name. Anyway, those 3 Plan A guys committed elsewhere. And now, there's no linebackers. But here comes Jonathan Smith, already making friends with other Big Ten coaches and potentially taking Brady away from PJ Fleck and the Minnesota Gophers. There's another recruiting nugget I do want to get to as well. And on yesterday's show, we talked about the concern of the quarterback position. And yes, let's just say Aidan Chiles comes here. All right, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about freaking out over who's our starter going to be. It's probably going to be Chiles. All right, it's looking good. Hey, what if he goes down? Like, Henry Hasselbeck just decommitted. The other 3 quarterbacks in the room have left. Like, if Aidan Chiles goes down, is it going to be Zeke the Wonder Dog throwing passes? Like, I don't know. But, there's a chance that maybe a 4-star quarterback from Indiana could be in the mix as well. His name is Tyler Cherry. Like I said, 4-star or 3-star, depending on what site you look at. He is a quarterback committed to Duke right now. Brian Lindgren, it was actually reported by 24/7 Sports that Brian Lindgren, Michigan State's new offensive coordinator, was in to see Tyler Cherry at his house this weekend, or before the previous weekend. So, another report from 24/7 Sports, he will take an official visit to Duke this weekend. Kevin Johns is the offensive coordinator over there, and I think that they are close. Now, will Mike Elko take Johns over to Texas A&M? And if that happens, will he follow him to A&M? Or is it basically Johns and Duke or nothing? So we're going to just keep an eye out there because, again, hey, as cool as Chiles is, let's say he gets hurt. We don't want to see that happen, of course, but we also don't want to see a guy go down and then have absolutely no options behind you at quarterback. So those are the 2 recruiting nuggets for you right there. Tyler Cherry, Brady Pretzlaff, just a little bit of smoke right there. Also, really quick before getting into the basketball game, we've had some reports pop up on Twitter about other offers that other Spartans are getting. Now, of course, not every single person is going to tweet out their offers. Actually, not a lot have, but a few have surfaced. And this is just to give an idea of how different it was when Mel got here and he had to push kids into the portal because they were not good enough to be here and they landed at group of 5 schools or FCS schools, whereas This year, it is a little different. There are some Power 5 offers out here. Like Spencer Brown, it has been reported that he has gotten offers from USC, Ole Miss, and Oklahoma. Just going to hold off on any further comment on that. But there's a defensive lineman that is being looked at by Auburn right now. And then also Tyrell Henry tweeted out that he got Wisconsin and Minnesota offers as well. So I think a lot of the state fans know the difference between this portal cycle and then what happened when Mel got here and he was trying to purge the roster. But that's just kind of doubling down and being like, yeah, it's actually a bummer to see these kids go. Not to say that a few years ago when the kids hit the portal, we were happy to see them go. No, of course, we love all of our Spartans, but yeah, these guys are a little more talented than what we had. But again, it's nothing to panic about. Yes, you can worry about it, but what the portal takes, you can also get from the portal as well. All right, gang, we will be back here in a hot second to talk basketball. That's right. I feel like it has been at least since the 4th of July since we've even talked about basketball. But hey, whatever, we're going to get to them here in a hot second. But first, you need to talk your ear off about LinkedIn Jobs. When you are hiring for your small business, you want to have as many top-tier candidates as possible to interview. So that's why you got to go check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. And it is so easy to add your job on LinkedIn, guys. Even someone like me can do it. So I know for sure you can do it with ease. And when you do, add the little purple hashtag "we're hiring" frame to your profile to, well, spread the word that you are hiring. LinkedIn isn't just another job board either. LinkedIn has a vast network of more than 1 billion professionals, which makes it the best place to hire. And hey, they even launched a feature that helps you write job descriptions, making the process even easier and quicker. So what are you waiting for? Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions. Got that right, Buster. They apply. All right, let's head over to the basketball court right here because it is a big one against Wisconsin to open up Big Ten play. And we're going to talk about the Badgers here in a little bit. But first, Tom Izzo did chat with the media on Monday, and we're going to pull out one thing that he said, and it is that Malik Hall has been out with the flu since Friday. So if you remember Tyson Walker, he was already under the weather this year, and this could be player number 2 already in a young season that's missing the game due to illness. So keep an eye on that for Tuesday. Now, I do want to extend the Malik Hall conversation a little bit more because, look, am I a Malik Hall defender? I don't mean to be, but I guess just by how much I talk about him at times, maybe I am. But after that James Madison game, oh boy, do you know who got a lot of flack? And rightfully so. It was not a good game by any stretch of the imagination. It was Malik Hall. And, of course, I think those Flames were already stoked to begin with because what was the last memory of last season? It was Malik Hall being on the wrong end of a defensive switch against Kansas State that, well, led to ultimately one of KSU's game-winning baskets. So there was already people on edge about Malik Hall, despite the fact that he was playing injured last year. He was out there on one leg basically and a broke back. So, you know what? But hey, that's just things that I like to bring up, not the haters. Okay, I get it. And I understand how ridiculous this sounds. And I want to make it clear that I'm not saying Malik Hall is going to be Kyle Filipowski. He's not Zach Edey. He's not going to be the Naismith Player of the Year. But let's recognize what he has done since the James Madison game, okay? Like Duke, 18 points on 63% shooting. All right, against Butler, 12 points, 9 rebounds, 3 steals. Arizona, 8 points, 5 rebounds as well. So he has been steady, if not above steady in some games, ever since the opening James Madison game. So yes, if he does miss Tuesday's game, you're missing a really steady force there, guys. And look, Cohen Carr, he's fun. He's flashy. He's the most athletic player in college basketball probably since Zion Williamson. And I don't even think that's an exaggeration. That's probably pretty accurate. But there have been times we see some defensive lapses. His offensive game and shot creation isn't there just yet, at least not as far as Malik Hall's is with his little turnaround 5-footer that he really likes to hone in on at times. But yeah, it's just we will miss a steady force there. And before you say Xavier Booker, anyway, we're going to talk about Xavier Booker at the end of the show. First, we got to talk about Wisconsin. That's right, those spicy Badgers. After 2 early losses this season, they're actually now 6-2, 5-game win streak, and fresh off of a thrashing against Marquette on their home court. Wisconsin's home court, that is. But yet, BartTorvik.com still has Michigan State as roughly a 5.5-point favorite. So when that line comes out on FanDuel, it'll be in the neighborhood of Michigan State by 5. Now, what does Wisconsin do well? Well, unfortunately, in classic Wisconsin fashion, they just play a clean game of basketball, fundamentally sound basketball. And yeah, here they go again. Top 35 in adjusted offensive and defensive efficiency. They are top 30 in rebounding on both ends of the floor. So defensive rebounding they're strong at, offensive rebounding they're strong at. And they also play, shout out to the Bo Ryan days, they play at a grinding pace. 337th in adjusted tempo. Now, so far this season, Michigan State does not play at a quick pace, despite all the talk before the season about, hey, wanting to play faster and also having the athletes to play faster. Like, I think Michigan State wants to play a faster game. Wisconsin's just, they're playing slow because, dang it, that's what we want to do over here in Madison. You guys know all these players, they're somehow on their 11th year of eligibility. Like, I can't believe we're talking about Stephen Crowell and Tyler Wall again. How Tyler Wall is still playing college basketball is beyond me. I swear Paul Davis was matched up against him back in the day, but whatever. Both these guys average 11 points. Stephen Crowell, 8 rebounds. Tyler Wall, 6 rebounds. But Tyler Wall being the 6'10" that's a guy that can stretch the floor. So again, it's the importance of Malik Hall, because what's been the knock against Cohen Carr? That his defense really isn't up to speed. Or, hey, if you want to plug in another freshman at the 4 in Xavier Booker, my God, has defense been an issue in his career so far? Yeah, it has a little bit. So, yeah, this would be a nice game to have Malik Hall for. Now, as far as guards go, Chucky Hepburn, again, another guy that's been here since 2015. Like, I swear him and Travis Trice went head-to-head, but whatever. Strong defender, really strong defender, one of the best in the Big Ten. Really takes care of the ball as well. So I hate for this just to sound lazy. I swear I don't mean it to be lazy, but it's just it's a classic Wisconsin team. It's a classic Wisconsin team, just slow. They're going to take their time, find their right shots. Now, what don't they do well? There's one thing they really don't do well, and that is three-point shooting. They are shooting the ball at 30% from behind the arc this season. That is good for 277th in the nation. However, they don't take a whole lot of threes. Like, they are ranked, I think, outside the top 200 for threes taken per game. Now, what will we watch for other than hopefully a win? Because, God, if they lose, I'm going to come out here and I'm going to be sad. I'm going to be probably borderline unhinged and say a lot of mean things about really hardworking student athletes and a Hall of Fame coach that I love like a family member. And I don't want to do that. But anyway, what are we actually going to be watching for other than a win here at home? 7 p.m. on Peacock, by the way. So I don't know if I'll be one of 14 people watching this game, but yeah, thanks networks. This game's on the Peacock. Anyway, we will be watching, above all, which freshman will play. Last week, after the Georgia Southern game, Tom Izzo made a remark that, we're going to start trimming this bench down, and I quite frankly don't know which freshmen are going to play, if any of them. Now, I don't think he really meant that because obviously Jeremy Fears is going to play. However, interested to see where he's going to be in the hierarchy with Trey Holloman and A.J. Hoggard. If you remember last week, Trey Holloman got the start. Jeremy Fears was the first point guard off the bench, and then it was A.J. Hoggard. As Tom Izzo was trying to play this chess game and trying to figure out how on earth can we get A.J. Hoggard in the right mind space, because Izzo talked about it after the game too. He's tried coddling. He's tried yelling. He's tried everything with A.J. Hoggard. So, look, he's probably going to start Tuesday. I can't imagine they're going to do this bench our senior guard for a second game here. But, yeah, it'll be interesting to see, okay, does Trey Holloman get the first dibs off the bench, or will it be Jeremy Fears? Cohen Carr as well, because, look, just like Tom Izzo said, hey, Carr's fun, but his defense has really got to use some work. He needs to use that physicality on the perimeter as well. So I could see Cohen Carr playing from anywhere from 3 minutes to 13 minutes. It's really going to depend on how he hits the court and how he defends early on in this game. Or if Malik Hall is indeed too sick to play, you can count that he's going to play more than 3 minutes. Now, Xavier Booker, quite bluntly, this is what I have written down in my notes. Will he even play? Which is nothing that any of us want to hear about a 5-star guy, McDonald's All-American. I get that Spartan Nation, by and large, is pretty frustrated here. And I know the whole offseason we preached, hey, let's be patient here. All right, that this is going to be a project here. But even now at this point, it's like, oh, my, this is going to be a longer project than I thought. I was hoping that we could have a one-and-done conversation by the end of the year and not, is this guy going to be in college for all 4 years here? But anyway, guys, I'm not trying to be like hyperbolic or, panicky or, trying to sell you a bill of false goods here. When I say I don't even know if the kid plays, because what has he offered this season? Like, yes, his help side defense is fun. Every once in a while, he comes across the paint, gets a block on a layup. Like, that's cool. He's also getting burned a lot on his guys. He's getting lost in space out there. And, hey, you know what? It's really fun that he's a tall guy that can shoot three-pointers. The three-point stroke looks good. However, what doesn't look good is when you're shooting at 20% this season. So if you're going to be a three-point specialist and that's all that you do so far as a freshman, we got to be a little better than 20% to see the floor. So I think that Booker will see a few minutes against Wisconsin. Again, maybe if not for nothing else, just to try to get some defense out of him against Tyler Wall. But, man, I'm really curious to see how much run Xavier Booker will get and if Izzo was serious that, hey, no, it's conference play. Maybe he could play against Stony Brook or Indiana State when they come into town. But, no, these games actually matter, and we can't have anyone shooting 20% and looking lost on defense out there. So those are things that we're going to be looking for. Oh, my God. I'm stressed. Basketball's back in our lives. I love the basketball team. I truly do. But, man, that was a nice week break off of watching them. And, in between that week, in between games, it's been really fun just following the football team and everything unfolding there. All right, gang. We will be back tomorrow talking about this basketball game in the first segment, and then the plan is right now Chase Glasser of Spartans Illustrated will join as well. We'll talk Aidan Chiles. We're going to talk football. You know what it is with Chase. But, gang, until next time, have a great day. Love every single one of you. Go Green.